This is Storytelling with Puppets, and this time the story is called Anansi the Spider, and it's adapted from the book by Gerald McDermott. Now to tell this with puppets, I use a spider puppet, to be Anansi the Spider. I also use a fish and a bird, but the other 6 characters are also spiders, Anansi's sons. So for that, what I do is I actually play those roles using props, and then I'll put on a little spider hat, which is not needed, but if you've got it, might as well use it. So, and the props you'll see how those fit in to portray the 6 sons. And then here's how the story goes. Time was, Anansi the Spider had 6 sons. And each of those sons had a special talent. And you could tell what the talent was by their names. Now, the first son was called See Trouble. He could see things from very far away. So these are binoculars. Sometimes I'll use like really big glasses that look kind of goofy and silly, but binoculars is what I have here today. So anything that makes him see things. The second son was called Road Builder. Now he would build roads. Do you know what he would build them out of? And the audience will hopefully say, yes, spider webs. So he would build roads far and long, anywhere he wanted. I just have a net to a basketball hoop, but really anything stringy, a pile of yarn or anything will do for that. You can, if you want to get really silly and wild, you could also use silly string, but expect a little bit more craziness, although it's lots of fun. The third son was the thirsty son. He was called River Drinker. He could drink as much water as he wanted to. He loved to drink it. Sometimes when he drank, he would spill a little. And then you sort of pick up your water bottle and squirt the audience a little bit. If you want to, that's optional, but again, that can be pretty fun. The next son was called Game Skinner. He could chop things open. And for this, any sword or a knife or anything will work. But I just have a nice little plastic sword I like to use. Yeah, and plastic, by the way. Plastic works best, not the real thing. Another son was called Stone Thrower. He could throw hard and far. And any ball will do, usually a smaller ball, but I just have this bigger one, which is a little bit easier to use. And the last son was called Cushion. Cushion was very, very soft. Now, all the sons were good children to Anansi. So there you've sort of introduced the props, and you set things up for the story to begin. But one time, Anansi the Spider went far away from home, and he fell into trouble. He came to a great lake, and he took a drink, and he took another drink, and then he fell into the lake. And as he sank toward the bottom of the lake, along came a great fish who swallowed Anansi. And that's all the fish does, and just do that real nice and slow. Doesn't have to look like he's really swallowed or anything like that, but just put the fish in front of the spider, and it's done. Because the kids are really following not so much the props, but your storytelling. Well, back home were those 6 sons. And that first son, do you remember his name? And I'll usually involve the audience by kind of prompting them to help me out with the sons' names here and there. Yes, See Trouble. Even from home, he saw that Anansi had been swallowed. And he told those other sons, we must go find Anansi. So the second son stepped forward. That was Road Builder. Yes. And he built a road far and fast until they came quickly to the lake. When they looked at the lake, they could not see Anansi. So up stepped River Drinker. And he took a big drink. Bloop, 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 bloop. And again, this is optional. And he spilled a little. And you squirt the kids a little bit. He spilled a little. And soon, there was no more lake. All they saw was a great big fish on the bottom of the lake. So, up stepped Game Skinner, and he chopped open the fish. Anansi. So you can see the story here, there's really not a lot of dialogue. It's more of a storyteller's voice, sort of measured and not too fast, kind of slow and pacing it nice in a storytelling way, so the kids can follow the jumps from one sun to the other and from one piece of action to the next. And out popped Anansi. But more trouble came right then. And again, see, your voice has to sort of capture the shift in tone of the story. It was a great bird who flew down from the sky and captured Anansi and took him up, up, up. Quickly now, it was time for stone thrower. He took careful aim and threw the stone and hit the bird, who dropped Anansi. And the timing of that, it's hard for me to have the ball hit the bird and the bird drop Anansi and then me grab Anansi and have him go down slowly. So I don't worry about it. The ball hits the bird, Anansi hits my lap, and then you bring him back up and the fall is still happening, or it's happening again. And Anansi came falling from high in the sky. Who would save him now? And this is always fun, because a lot of times the kids will say, pillow, pillow, but sometimes they remember the word cushion. That's right. Up stepped Cushion, and he got right under Anansi, and Anansi came to the ground very softly. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Well, Anansi was safe, and they were all very happy, that spider family. That night, back home, they had a celebration. And after the meal, Anansi went outside. And when he went outside, he found something in the night. It looked like this. Oh, he said, mysterious and beautiful, a great globe of light. I shall give this globe to one of my sons. I shall give it to the son who saved me today. But which one? Which of the 6 deserves the prize? Let me think about that. And so he tried to decide. It was Sea Trouble who realized that I was in danger. But my children never would have got to me without the road that road builder built. And then, when I was underwater, River Drinker drank up the lake. But I was still captured inside fish until Game Skinner set me free. And when the bird took me up to the sky, I needed Stone Thrower to set me free. And then I would have been crushed to bits on the ground if it weren't for Cushion. I don't know which of the sons to give it to. Perhaps Niami will help me. Now, Niami was the sky god, or Niami was the god of all things to the Ashanti people. Niami, can you tell me which of my sons I should give this great prize to? Well, Niami decided to hold that great globe of light, while Anansi and his sons decided who deserved the prize. They talked about it all night. They argued about it. And Niami, the god of all things, he saw that they would never decide. And so he decided to put the globe of light up into the sky. And he kept it there. It is still there. In fact, it is there tonight. And if you go out tonight and look up in the sky, you might be lucky enough to see it. But now we call it, what do we call it? And the audience will know, the moon. And that is how the moon got into the sky, according to this story, Anansi the spider. And the moon, of course, is I just use a big white styrofoam ball, and I hold it up there, and that's all you need to do. And that pretty much ends the story. So that is the way to tell, that is one way to tell Anansi the spider with puppets.